Okay. Hi, we're now live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. We are now live. How is everyone doing? How is everybody doing? Well, as for me, I'm good. I'm doing all right. I hope everybody's working in purpose. I hope everyone is working in alignment with their purpose. So my name still remains Chioma Ochulo. This is the On Purpose series, episode 3. And I am here with someone I respect. I will call her young, obviously I'm younger myself. I'll call her a young, social changer that I really love. Her name is Seun Lana, and I'll be introducing her very shortly. Seun Lana is a global development practitioner, author, and executive director of the Development School Africa, where she empowers young Africans to address global challenges. In just over a year, her program have reached over 4,000 youths across 7 African countries, promoting sustainability education in schools, workshop, and IDP camps. With 7 years of experience, Seun has collaborated with entities like Nigeria Vice President Office, Their World, and Peace First. She's named as top 30 on their changemakers by Lovers. She advocates for youth-led solutions for African development. If your hands are not busy, please help me welcome Seun Lana. Seun, I'll be adding you to the stage just about now.
Yes, I'm here.
How are you doing? How
I'm
are
doing
you?
very well. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much, Emma, for putting together this platform and also for bringing me on board. I absolutely cannot wait to dig into the conversation. So yeah, I'm doing very well.
Thank
I hope
you,
you're all right.
thank you so much for joining in. Like I said, I really, really respect you. I met Shun at the SPPG. Well, and I saw how, she was putting in the effort with all her. And like I mentioned, I think your group was one of the people that had like the highest, what's it called? The highest
Yeah, we got the
funding.
second position.
And I
Okay,
was
we
like
got the
shocked, how
second.
did you guys do it? So I really, really respect what you do in the social impact space, and as a young Nigerian youth who is also inspiring other young people. I really, really respect that a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome. So, like I said, before we, join this conversation, I spoke to you how the conversation was going to go, and we're just going to, dive right into it. So, firstly, what is purpose to you? Like, how do you define purpose? In your own language, just explain it to us if you don't mind.
Hmm. So I think I had to take a pause because I feel like I have gone through so many journeys trying to discover, trying to find what purpose was. And I
Yeah,
hope that I get the opportunity to share maybe some of the things that I had gone through up until this
yeah,
time now in the course of this conversation. But I
yeah,
got to a point where I realized that purpose really is just doing whatever it is that God wants you to do at a certain or a particular point in time. It could be as grand as, oh, I want you to go to this city and go and do something really big, like it happened with Jonah. Or it could be as small
yes,
as you're just walking on the road and you pass somebody by and you got a prompting in your heart to go back and go and speak to that person or go back and give that person something. Your obedience to doing that thing at that particular time that you got the prompting is you fulfilling what God wants you to do, and in that point in time you've done your purpose. So I don't really think it is one thing. I think it is a series of different things that we do on our way to just living this life that God has called us to in obedience to the things he asks us to do part time. So that's how I would define it.
yeah. I think I love that definition. There's something that stood out to me. You said prompting. There's probably like a burden God has laid in each and every one of us hearts to express. God is very, I don't know, maybe multifaceted.
Yeah.
So he placed certain burden in each and every one of us. And the way I'll carry my burden is not the way you'd carry your burden. So I
Yeah.
like how you say promptings.
Yeah.
So that's the desired in God's heart.
Yeah.
So my follow-up question would be, purpose, calling, assignments, passion. I think a lot of people always, should I say, mix them up. In
Hmm.
your own understanding, how would you like explain them? How do they relate, and how are they different in their own way? If you can
Okay.
explain them in your journey so far.
Let me just use my life as an example, right? Even though I
Mhm.
just want to go straight into the answer, but
Mhm.
I think it will be best if I share the stories that at least they've led me here.
Yeah,
So when
definitely.
I was growing up, I grew up with low self-esteem. I was very aware of my limitations and my weaknesses.
Mhm.
I knew also the things that I wanted to do based off the fact that I had at this point I'd got into uni. I was praying about what I wanted to do afterwards because I felt like I was studying a course that I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to use it for, right? And so along the line I would get like a I don't want to call it a glimpse because to be fair, I didn't really get any grand glimpse or like
Yeah.
vision or something.
Yeah.
I didn't. It's just I have this philosophy which I'd also taken from the Bible, which is there's nothing you have that you've not received. And there's a reason why this particular thing came to me and it didn't come to you, Choma, or it didn't come to somebody else that's listening to this stream, right? So for me, when something comes to me, even if it's like an idea, because of the kind of person I am who has spent time praying, asking God for answers, I do believe that that's some of the ways that God speaks to me too, right? So in this
Mhm.
situation, I had caught like something that dropped in my mind, like an image, a vision. Every time I asked God for clarity, I would see myself speaking in front of like thousands of people. Everything that it was showing me was the opposite of how I was at that time. Because if you ask me to stand in front of somebody, I would run away. You won't see me again. No, true life story, and this is from
Yeah.
secondary school. Like any little thing, and I was just the kind of person that responsibility just always found. No matter how much I try to run, no matter how much I try to hide, there's always
Yeah.
something. Like in secondary school, I was the head girl. Here now, I'm doing my master's at the Uni of East Anglia. I am the vice president of Nigerian Student Society. Like responsibility always finds me. Like there's no running from it. And so people always wanted to put me at the front like line to either address the public or do something. But here I was aware of my weaknesses, dealing with these things. I would run instead. I won't face them. I'll just do a lot of things, right? And so one day I sat down and I'm like, okay, if I keep seeing myself doing this thing every time I pray, and it is intent upon my heart that I fulfill the things or the desires that God has called me to, then at some point I do need to start to confront the things I feel might be the blocking, and it might be coming from me, like the limitations to fulfilling these things, and I might be the one that is impeding their fulfillment from my own side as well. So I did start to say yes to the things that made me afraid, but I'll get into that later on. And it was along that line that I found that there were certain things that I was passionate about, right? So one of those things was I enjoyed going into communities, seeing the challenges that they had, and just finding ways to fix that challenge. So I'd done that just right after finishing from uni, went to an orphanage, fixed their doors, fixed their nets, bought them new carpet, bought them food stuff. I remember how I felt leaving that place. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what this is, but I know that this is something I feel very fulfilled at. And I feel like this is something that I want to do, going
Yeah.
forward. At the time, it wasn't even a popular field. In fact, my own journey to finding out what I currently do now, which a lot of people might then tag, oh, you're living in purpose. It was very intentional because I had to ask a lot of questions. I had to like look for people that were already walking that path who presented a semblance of an image that I thought resembled something that God had shown me as well, right? And so
Yeah.
when I found those things, so there was a time a friend of mine went to Addis Ababa, and then she was speaking, with the microphone thing, like you see people that are sitting at the UN or at the AU doing. And immediately I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I've seen myself like this before. Like this is some place that I would really like to be. Like, where is this? What's this called? And so in asking all of those questions, I found out that there was a field called development, etc. And then I started asking questions about how to get in, what communities are the people that are working in this field, what communities are they, what do they do, how did they join, and everything. And then putting two and two together, plus my own passion of trying to do things in my community, I did that. Now, the truth is, and I'm just going to say this to answer your question about purpose and passion and everything together. The truth is, even though I caught that image quite early on in my career, in my life, I did not start working the path right immediately. And when I say walking the path, I mean I didn't start to go to the AU or go to the UN or do all
Yeah.
of those things immediately. I
Yeah.
just stayed with the thing that I was already passionate with, which was going into communities and trying to serve them and trying to solve issues however I could. At some point I needed a job because I needed money, and I got a job, and this job wasn't even related to what I was doing. But because I see my life as a whole, I believe that everything is still leading me towards the place that I am supposed to be, right? And a classical story that I held during that period and has still guide me till now is a Joseph or a David who had been anointed as king long before he even sat on the throne. But
Yeah.
in the space between when he became king, when that eventually happened, and when he was anointed, this guy was a shepherd. This boy killed the lion. This boy fought with Goliath. So many things happened, right? And the same
Yeah.
thing with Joseph, who had seen himself as somebody that was big and prominent and having people bow to him. And in the space of that, he still went to prison. He was still sold as a slave. Like all of this, we can't say they didn't lead up to the purpose or to the thing that God had called them to do, even though at different times it just felt like they were doing so many things. So with a David now, being a shepherd was an assignment that he had to take up at that point, but it was ultimately preparing him for this grand life that God had eventually called him to do when he sat on the throne, right? Being somebody who knew how to play the harp and sing psalms, look at the psalms, look at how we read it now. Everything was preparing him towards that time. So for me, all the things I had to do, like just speaking to a young girl, creating an
Yeah.
initiative in my community like Beyond the Surface, starting a job with a tech company. At the time it might look disjointed, but in hindsight now you see that everything, there are assignments that I needed to do part-time. Some of them were passion led, some of them were just because I needed money, I'm not going to lie. But every day when you put them together, they all lead
Yeah.
up to this thing that I believe that I have been called to do with my life. And it's still continuing. Like, I mean, I've just started in that sense, but that's how I would define it. Your purpose, again, is not just one thing, it's a series of different things
Mhm.
that God has called you to do part time. And in
Mhm.
those times, if He tells you to do something, if it's a work, if it's a job, those are the assignments that you then find yourself doing during a particular pocket in time.
Mhm.
Some of those assignments you may feel qualified for. Some of them you may feel like I'm better than this. Like I shouldn't be doing this with my time or with my life. Some of those assignments you might be paid for. Some of those assignments you may not. But at the end of the day, you recognize that whatever my hands find to do, I have been given. I will do it well. It's an assignment, and in hindsight, they would all form a big picture of this thing that God has eventually ultimately called you to do. So that's how I would define the different things. And I really hope that I answered your question, Choma.
I mean, you went over and beyond. Like that was very. I love the story. I was almost lost in the story. I love how you went from David and your life story. That was like very, very captivating. And you also said something. You said something about there's nothing you haven't there's nothing you have that you haven't received. Like that's like powerful. When you catch an idea, believe that you've received it from
Yeah.
Jiget. Like that's amazing. Wow. All right, so let's dive more into it. There's this thing DDK says. Well, if you don't know DDK, her name is Débola Deji-Kurunmi. I follow Débola Deji-Kurunmi a lot, and I listen to her. There's something she normally says. What's it called? She normally explains it like we've entered into the harvest that we bestow no label, and I actually believe that because
Yeah.
we're living in time, we're using the internet where we didn't create the internet,
Yeah.
so it's like a global village. I can I'm not the way my parents would think of possibilities is different from the way I would think of possibilities. You know, it's almost like a level playing ground, although there are still like some glass ceilings, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's almost like a level playing ground. Like there is possibilities like for
Yeah.
young people like us.
Yeah.
So like to whom much is given, much is expected, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that this generation we have a pressure to perform, maybe due to social media or due to what I just explained now, to whom much is giving, much is expected? Would you say that we have is there underlying pressure to perform, or because we have been given so much, we have been given the internet, there's a lot of possibilities. People just think of DMing, I don't know, Brandon Butchard, or DMing Cindy Trimm, one big person, and
Yeah.
hopefully thinking that this person will reply you, because why not? I mean, we're using social media, so just reply me. So like, I don't know if that question makes sense, if there's a way you can answer that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the answer to that question is yes.
Yeah.
So social media is not just it's not just a tool, right? It looks
Yeah.
like it's just an app. Like when you open your Instagram, it looks like, oh, it's just an application that you've opened and you're just spending time scrolling. But you're not just scrolling. Social media, when you open that app and you come into it, is giving you access to people's lives that
Mm-hmm.
some of which you may not have known about before, or that you'd have seen their day in, day out. Like people that you probably wouldn't have had access to before, some who you might have, but you just not have been interested in. But now all of a sudden, you have everybody on your screen doing amazing things, some curated, some not, some genuinely living their lives and showing you, what they are doing, and some people, intentionally like putting out what they want you to see and everything. And then you are inspired by some of these things, only for maybe the person to celebrate their birthday tomorrow and they'll come and say, I'm so happy to be celebrating 23. And you'll be like, eh? What do you mean you're 23? Like, no. Like, what do you mean that you are 23? Me, I'm going to be very sincere. I've had this happen. So prior to social, because I joined social media in 2016 when I came out of my undergrad. That was when I joined Instagram.
Yeah.
I was already on Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook now. After a while, young people stopped kind of
Yeah.
like interacting. So I joined Instagram then. And I remember that because of the places I used to be and my age at the time, I almost was always the youngest person in the room. Like in my class, I would be like, oh, you're one of the youngest, you're one of the youngest. All of a sudden, I'm on Instagram, I'm seeing amazing people that I really like their work, that I followed. I'm like, oh, this person inspires me. I like how they speak, I like how they do, I like how what these guys are doing. Only for them to celebrate their birthday, and I'm seeing that, wait, I can actually give birth to you. What do you mean you're this young? Like, what do you mean you're this young?
Oh my god.
And so all of a sudden it goes from, oh my gosh, like it goes from that fluid,
Yeah.
unconscious inspiration you've drawn from this person to then intentionally tell yourself that you're still going to stay inspired by them regardless, despite the fact that they seem to
Yeah.
have it all well figured out, at such a young
Yeah.
age and everything. And because we also mistake influence as a currency these days. So we look at how many
Mm-hmm.
maybe followers a person has or how much you're able to influence other people. And we just see it as, it's such a big accomplishment that this person has and whatever. And because of that, there's just this sort of pressure to perform on young people. So unfortunately, the answer to that question is yes. It also might not even be coming from social media. It also just might be coming because you happen to be an introspective person, and everybody in your life or everybody you went to school with seem to be doing better than you are doing, or your parents or your family is demanding something from you that you are yet to, be able to get, or societal pressure, just you thinking that you're attaining a certain age and by this age you'd have gotten XYZ. So yes, there is that pressure to perform. Is there. I'm sure you also have certain experiences as to this as well.
Yeah.
It is there,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Definitely. Speaking of societal pressure, what would you like say to someone that feels like they're stuck, and maybe they have idea of their purpose, or they don't have an idea of their purpose, but they seem like everybody's moving forward and they are not. Or maybe the idea of they are missing out on something. What would you say to someone like that?
So I want to take this answer from maybe I will worked out in my own life, because I could share more from my experiences and giving you
Okay.
a generic answer to say, oh, if you feel stuck, go and do this, right? So, but for me, I think it was having to recognize what it was that was limiting me at that time. So, the first thing that I recognized were where I was deficient, either in knowledge or something. Like, so it's like you're walking a journey. Just imagine your life as you're living a journey, and then at some point in your journey, you've gone through school, you've gone through primary school, you've gone through secondary school, you've gone through uni. All of these things are coming on top of the hill of each other, almost like you don't have a say. They just have to happen because that's how life is. You have to do school, and then you do school, you do NYSC, and then all of a sudden you are in a place where you then have to start figuring out the rest of this journey by yourself, because every other thing that seemed to come automatically has now paused, right? So it's no longer school anymore. It's not like, okay, I have to find a job, then what job and everything I have to do. So at that point, you realize that the first thing that makes us feel stuck is just a deficit in knowledge. Like you don't know what's the next thing to do. And so for me, in those cases, what I did was I started to attend conferences. I started to read books. I didn't read everything and I didn't attend every conference. But if I saw that there was a conference, like for example, when I left school, there was this conference about for young graduates and just figuring out life after school. I knew that that was what I needed. So I went, right? If there was a conference about finding out God's will for your life, because that was like where I was, like spiritually and what I'd been praying about, I would go and I would attend and I'll listen to people who have answers to these questions that I have, and then come back home with seemingly more clarity that just moves me into the next thing. Like there was a particular event that I attended, and I still say it till now, but it literally changed. It was a very small event that happened in Covenant University. It was organized by a man that was just doing his thing. It wasn't even popular or anything, but I went because what he was organizing was something that I felt would give me answers. And in that event, it practically broke down how you can distinguish between what's a job and what's a career, and how you can start to build up to the kind of career that you want, basically living your life backwards, because you've already said, okay, when I'm 80, I want it to be said that this is what I lived my life doing. And even if you don't have the words to describe that thing, like if you don't have the name to describe that thing, it's okay to just describe it anyhow it comes to you. So you may not be able to say, I want to be known as an international development practitioner, because at that time you may not even know what international development is. But you could say that at 80, I want it to be known that I have spent my life just making impact and making change happen in vulnerable communities and teaching young people how they do this. Of course, it could change along the way, but at that time, at least, that was the clarity you got, right? And so you start to live back, well, okay, so to be that person, what kind of courses then do I need to take? What kind of communities do I need to join? What kind of vacancies do I need to start to look for, right? So in my own case, just making sure that, okay, I recognize that I am deficit in knowledge, and then looking for places where I can fill that knowledge bank up, it really helped me to go from being stuck to at least moving the needle forward. The second thing was working on my weaknesses. So again, why are you stuck? It's like you don't know. So now you're trying to know. That's one. But secondly, why are you stuck? Is that you know, but there's something that is limiting you from yourself, by yourself. Like you are just shy, or you don't know how to put an application together properly, or like every place you've applied to, they keep rejecting you. There's just something you are doing that is not really helping you move the way that you want to do. So if you recognize that, the next thing would be to start working on those things, right? So in my own case, somebody invites me to come speak. I'll be like, I'm sorry, but I can't come. Why? It's not because I'm busy. It's because I was just shy and I didn't like standing in front of people. Like I used to run away and everything, like I said earlier. So, but I know
Yeah.
that if I continue doing that, after a while, people will stop inviting me for things. Or after a
Mm-hmm.
while, I'll just keep feeling like I'm in the same place. I know that I'm supposed to be going. I'm just stuck in this way, but I know that it's because it's me. I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to do by myself, right? So in that case, what then do I need to do? Sean, would you like to lead this prayer? Oh yes, I would do it. I get there. My voice is shaking. My hands are shaking. I'm like, hey God, how come I just suddenly forgot how
You
to
do it while
pray?
your hands are shaking.
Yeah, like I'm like, hey, it's not prayer I prayed in my room yesterday. How come I just suddenly forgot how to pray? What am I supposed to say? And then you are doing all of that, but you are doing it in front of these people. You are doing it. Let's just
Yeah.
put that way. You are doing it. And
Mhm.
then the next time somebody says, Rishon, would you like to come and join this webinar? You're like, okay, yes, I will do it. And you're like, okay, my hands may shake, I may forget. So what do I do? Let me prepare some notes. Let me do something to help my case. But the most important thing is that you are doing it and you're working on those
Yeah.
weaknesses. And before you know what's
Yeah.
happening, you've become that person who is confident enough to stand in front of 10, in front of 100, in front of thousands, just because you chose to work on those weaknesses and to show up. And now I'm in front of, I don't know how many people this video is going to get to, thousands of people Chioma invites me, I say yes. I'm coming here now. My voice doesn't sound like it's shaking anymore, is it? But it was only because I said yes to those things that made me afraid. So for you that you also feel stuck, I would say just look at, now we've addressed the knowledge gap, right? Look at now the things you know you are supposed to be doing, but you are unable to do because of certain things that might be coming from you. And then see how you can begin to work on those weaknesses, starting small, starting consistently until you get to a place where you feel like you are now very good at this thing and you can show up anyway. I feel like if you wait till you're very good, you might never just start. So just start and then build up consistently from there until it becomes quote unquote perfect, right? So those are the two things I'll say. Just find where you are lacking in knowledge, and also find what you know but you feel like, oh, I can't do because, and then see how you can begin to work on those things from where you are. So
So find your knowledge gap and work on your weaknesses.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Like from what I've picked from what you've said so far is at the end of the day we live our life forward and then we learn backward, like the example you made with
yeah,
Daniel and all that. Thank you very much. Um how do we identify our teachers? I think you mentioned something about going for conferences. You mentioned the conference of that helped you, get ahead and all that. How do
yeah,
we identify our teachers? Like once you're ready, your teacher would appear. Do you get? For me, how I see it as is when I see someone like, let me just use this phrase, right? When I
yeah,
listen to Débola Deji-Kurunmi, the baby in my stomach leaps. Like
yeah,
the example in the Bible of Mary and was it Elizabeth? I can't remember right
yeah.
now.
Mirror and
But
Elizabeth.
like the baby in your stomach leaps. So
Yeah,
when I see someone like that, I dive deep into their resources. For DDK, I've consumed her YouTube, read her books, joined her programs. Like I'm deep inside that person. So how do we identify our teachers, our mentors, our leaders, those people that we're meant to follow, or do we just anybody that is doing personal development? Do we just, oh yeah, this conference, let's go. This is what is happening now. Let's go for this. Let's go for that. How
yeah,
did you also, find that person who
yeah,
who you should take insights from and stuff like that?
yeah. So again, I may be seen as a very weird person. I'm not weird. I'm just,
Okay.
so I have a, when I came into a relationship with God, I came into it from a place of sincerity. And I told God, I said, I'm not going to form and I'm not going to pretend about anything when it comes to you. So when everybody is saying a certain thing about their experiences and their encounters with you, if it is true, if it is something you want from me, then I genuinely want to experience it. And I'll wait till you give me. I'm not going to form like, oh, now I can hear God, or now I can. So because that was the art with which I came into this walk, I tend to be very, to take every bit of my life, and that's why I said some might see me as weird. Every bit of my life that I could look like you're intelligent, can figure this out on your own. I tend to take everything still back to God to say, okay, we're here now. Help me figure out who you think I should listen to, or what you think I should do, where you think I should be. So I remember going to uni and asking God to help me find the friends that He wants me to make in school, right? And by joining certain pockets of community in school, when, because of the communities I was in, and when I say community, guys, I don't mean that you should go and join a club, or you should go and join, your friend is a community, do you know? Like your roommate, the people that you spend time with for that 1 year, it's a
Yeah.
community. And one of the ways that I started to find the right teachers was through the communities that I joined, because the people that I was friends with, they were thinking in a certain direction that aligned with the way I was thinking, right? So if they came and they said, oh, we're attending this conference, or we're joining this thing, or we're listening to this message, if I sat there at the time and I listened to that message, chances are I would also find value from what they are listening to, because we are aligned in our work as a result of the community that I was in. They were just aligned with me, right? So communities do go a long way, and it's still something that I am living through at this point, or at this stage of my life. So that's one.
Yeah.
The second thing is I pay very close attention to the inklings and the nudge. that I feel in my spirit when I'm listening to a person. So if I sit in a room or I sit in my room and I'm listening to somebody, whether virtually or physically, and they are preaching, the preaching might not be anything ground shaking or anything. In my spirit, if I feel like, oh my gosh, this person has just spoken to me, or I feel like this person is speaking the truth based on what I have learned in my own journey, my own experiences, life, the scriptures, and whatever, and I see that this person is speaking the truth, and it aligns, or it sits or it rests with me, then that person I can continue to listen to, right? But if I sit with somebody and there's just this stumble and there's this rumble and I'm feeling uneasy, it may not necessarily mean that that person is saying something that is not true. It just might be that I am not supposed to be listening to that person, or like what that person is saying at that point is not for me, right? So I really do pay close attention to how I feel in my spirit when somebody I'm listening to, like how do I feel, like how does this, and when I say feeling,
Maybe
I'm
your
saying that very
instinct.
carefully because I know that we can tend to interpret feeling as I just felt somehow. Like I don't know. It goes deeper than just that. That's why I keep saying your
Okay.
spirit. Like in
Yeah.
there, in your heart, you know that you left that place feeling uneasy. You know that you left
Yeah.
that place feeling like, "Ah, this person didn't say the right thing." Or you know that you left that place feeling like, oh my God, I was so blessed. I had clarity. I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. Like Chioma said, something in me leaped. This person was speaking to me. I was crying. I was in
Mm.
tears. I was so broken. I was like, God, what is this? I already, there's just something. That's what I mean, right? I don't mean just feeling on the fickle side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when all of those things happen, I then know that okay, this is the person. But again, going back to community, your church could be a community as well. So it then depends on like the places you find yourself planted part time. So you're in school now, and then you're rooming with these people, or you're in a church community and you know that this is where God has planted you. That person that has
Mm-hmm.
placed there is your teacher at that time, right? And so you have the responsibility to listen to them and to feed from things that they are teaching you, etc. etc. So where it falls into finding the right people is you just asking God genuinely to put you in the right places where He would have you planted, to put you around the right people where He would have you planted, and to just lead you into the right relationships where you can then find the teachers that He has sent into your life. I mean, that was how I did it, and that was how I found the people that I've been listening to from then till now. So yeah.
Mm. That's like remarkable, and you really touched on communities.
Yeah, I'm
I
curious as to how you
Yeah.
found your teachers. Like, how did you find your teachers and the people that you currently listen to?
Well, like I said earlier, like when I listen to someone and there's an urging in my spirit, like
Yeah,
like this person is for me. And for me, I would say I sort of look for models. When I read the Bible, for example, I look for models like,
yeah,
okay, Deborah, she was assisting Izzy Barak fighting a war. I look for models that maybe relate to my life. Okay,
yeah,
I'm a visionary leader, for example. I look for visionary leaders that have models that I can, sort of convert it and relate it to the present time.
yeah,
Look at DDK. To some extent, I see myself in DDK. I see models in DDK that I can apply
yeah.
in my life. For Cindy Trimm, I don't know if you know Cindy Trimm as well.
I
She's
know
also
her.
something that, for me personally, though, I look for models that, okay, this person is speaking to me, and to some extent, I see myself in that person. I don't
Yeah,
know how to
yeah,
explain it,
yeah,
but like, I see myself doing certain things that they are
yeah,
doing. I
yeah,
respect people like that. So
yeah,
like, but generally, I listen to my friend can just forward me a message, and I'm like, oh, that's fine. But the people that I'm like, dedicated to, like, I need to learn from this. I need to take samples from these people's life. Are people that I can draw ideas from their life and apply it to mine. It's a
yeah,
way that, yeah. So that's it for me. But
yeah.
like,
Thank you for
thank you.
sharing that. I wanted
Yeah,
to,
thank.
it reminded me
Yeah.
of something that I just wanted to add quickly before we moved on.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so I again believe that because of my faith, a lot of things I believe that guide my life come from scriptures, right? So again, I believe that we are all spirit beings that were here for a period in time and we live in a body. And sometimes we get overwhelmed by the body a lot, by our flesh. Like we just forget that there is a bigger you inside of you sometimes. And so when you sit with certain people and certain words and things that they are sharing, you feel the sense that they start calling into that you may not even have seen,
Mm.
that you may not even
Like
know.
you just said what I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
Like you just took it out of my lips. Like
Yeah.
please
Like
continue,
you just feel
continue.
this sense that they see you. Like not
Yeah.
the you that is wearing, not me now, not this me that is wearing lipstick and
They're
glasses and
calling on
whatever.
your
But
inside
that
to come out.
me,
Yeah.
who God has created me to be, who I am at my core, who I know that I am, or who I sense
Mm.
that there's something more with me here. So you see, I was telling people,
Mm-hmm.
and by the virtue of their teaching, you feel like
Yeah.
they're just it's just plugging
Mm.
something at you, and then you know that, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is just the person I'm supposed to listen to. So in no
Yeah.
way would I advise
Absolutely.
that you listen to or you pick your teachers based on how popular they
Mm-hmm.
are or how much every other person seems to like them and listen to them. You could see somebody that everybody's talking about and you listen to them and it doesn't even resonate with you. It doesn't mean something is
Yeah.
wrong with you. It just means that's not the person, right? So, but instead of trying to find them on your own, because there are millions of teachers in this world right now, and to even make you worse, there are millions of teachers that are preaching the right thing, that are saying the right thing.
Yeah.
So, but how do you find the ones that are for you, the ones that you are supposed to listen to, that have been sent to you? It's just standing in that small corner of your room and say, God, please, you know me, you know the me that is inside. And you know this life you created me to live, this journey, even if I'm walking the path, I've not seen the full picture yet, but you know. And so you know the teachers that you have already earmarked for me. So
Fine.
please
Yeah.
lead me to those people, and you'd see that God answers prayers and you see that you begin to find them in no time. So yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So my last question for this particular session is how do we maybe build a personal development plan for ourselves? Like how can we say not necessarily like this like a roadmap to follow, but something that someone can start with. Do you get? It's not like
Yeah.
it's the automatic roadmap or the automatic personal development plan, but how would you say someone is just starting out? Okay, these are one, two, three things you can do to help you get started on your journey. So,
Yeah. Can't believe this last question. Let me just say that I had such a I could just keep talking. But yes, first thing I would say, again, based on the things I have lived through and I've experienced, first thing I would say, please, 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 please know God, right? And not in the cliche way that everybody talks about God, because then it becomes very monotonous and it becomes very tasking. But just know
mhm,
God, feel see him like I've just found a new friend and
yeah,
I want to get to know this new friend, right? And so when you pray, you talk like you're talking to your friend. When you study the Bible, you're like, let me see what the word tells me about this, my friend. What does he like? What does he not like? What does he want me to do with my life? What does he not want me to do with my life? And so when you find that you are in different phases of your life's journey, times when things
mhm,
are great, times when things are not great, times when
mhm,
you feel like, oh my God, I've made it, let me buy pizza for everybody, and times when you feel like I just want to be left alone and in my room and in a shower, if you have a shower, and if it is buckets and water, like they just pour water on my head and cry. You know that
it's
you have
true.
somebody there that loves
Mhm,
you, that knows your life, and that is going to lead you on the right path regardless, right? So that for me, it really helped me because I felt like for every single point in my life, when I went through the worst emotional year, when I went through a breakup that I thought was going to lead into something promising, when I was doing a job that I felt like, oh God, I feel like there's more and I don't know, but how are you going to do it? For me, honestly, it was just being in that place where I knew that I could talk to God and it gives me a word. And regardless of the time it takes, I can hold on to that word and it's going to anchor me in that journey. So it's very, very important. I'm also not going to do justice to this topic if I say that there's only so little, right, that we by our own selves can achieve for our own lives. No matter how brilliant that we think that we are, our eyes are very short-sighted. So Chioma, if I tell you now that can you go into your wardrobe and give me the clothes you're going to be wearing in 5 years' time? I can tell you that you may imagine and say, I was today this summertime where you are, And in
Yes.
5 years' time, I'll also be summertime. So you can think about the kind of clothes you might be wearing, but what you pick out is still limited to what you have in your wardrobe at that time. Am I correct?
Yeah,
But in 5 years'
definitely.
time, anything could have happened. You could have relocated to a new
Mm-hmm.
country with your family. Your size might have changed based on the things you've gone through. The clothes you have in your wardrobe will fit anymore, will even fit for the country that you
Mm-hmm.
found yourself again. But at the time that
Mm-hmm.
I asked, you could not possibly know what you're going to be wearing in 5 years' time. You can just assume based on what you see in front of you, right? So it's the same with us. As human beings, our eyes are very short sighted. So when you make those plans to say personal development, I want to grow to be this person in future, there's only so little that you can make. Like it's okay to do those things. I do them, but I've come to realize from my life and my life experiences that there's only so little that I can do to plan these things. So while I'm still on that particular subject, on that particular topic, on that point of knowing God, I just want to share a few examples. So when in 2019 I started feeling like there was so much more that was supposed to happen with me, and I didn't know what they were. At this point, I'd never been at the airport, or I'd been at the domestic airport, but I'd never been in a plane. I know a lot of people follow me now because they feel like I travel everywhere, but it's just fair that I tell you guys the genesis. I'd never been in a plane, domestic flight, international flight, nothing. I used to admire people that do it. I see it, I'll say, God, one day when I don't know, my salary at the time wasn't enough to sponsor me to flying or doing anything. And it wasn't even something that my family did. Like, like well, maybe it's an image I saw or something. And I
Oh
remember then
yeah.
I told a friend of mine who then became my boyfriend and now my husband that can you just take me around the Murtala Mohammed airport, that hack. That I just want to
Yeah.
just feel like I'm being dropped off and just see it, just experience it. And we drove around this thing. This was in 2019. A few months down the line, I started to feel strongly in my heart that I needed to go and do my international passport. And so I did it. Again, it didn't make sense because I still don't know where I'm going to. I don't have money for anything. I don't know how to buy a ticket or whatever. But I did the passport regardless. I did that. Not long after, I saw an application to join a fellowship. It wasn't a popular fellowship. Nobody knew about it. But I was like, oh, again, professional development, right? Personal development. And I've already said that earlier. You finding communities you can join or conferences or things you feel like
Yes.
might help you. So I found that fellowship. I thought it could help me and I applied for it. It was such
Mm.
a long application, Chioma. Like when I tell you that at some point I wanted to stop, I said, when it's not like I'm writing an exam, like why are these questions this intense? And one of those questions had been, if you had $1 million, if you
Yeah.
don't save and you don't invest, what will you use the money for? So I had detailed everything I was going to do with the money. And then at the end, I said, I'm also going to take a trip out of Nigeria for the first time and just feel how a broad breeze feels on my air. I wrote it in a professional way, but it was very funny. Like literally, I
Yeah.
think that was how I wrote it. But I'd written everything else seriously. So when I got to the end, I was like, let me just put it there as humor.
Yeah.
And so when we got on the day, we had to pay money to submit this thing, like 10K. I remember they didn't have it. I borrowed the money. I just said, give me, let me pay. On the day, it was such a hard day. I didn't want to go. I sure went. Only for us to get there, right? And the woman started giving gifts to everybody that was there based on what she liked. So she said, "Ah, this person came from really far. This person came really early. Take all the books I've read that's changed my life. Da da da." And I was like, I don't come from far. I don't come early. So there's no way in this world I can win any gifts, right? And then
Okay.
somewhere along the line, I think after she had done with she was done everybody, she then says, "Who is?" She calls my full name. Stunned, I stood up. I was like, "That's me." She said, "Oh, I read all of your essays. Personally, it was me that read all the essays. You had the best essay. And there was some point at your essay where you had said that you hadn't been out of the country and you'd like to go. And as a result of that, I'm gifting you an all expense paid ticket to any country of your choice.
Wow.
You just choose
Wow. Where did
wherever
you
it
go
is."
to?
I went to Dubai with that particular one because it was Expo
Oh
2020
wow.
and I saw a lot of people doing things
Yeah.
around the SDGs and it just propelled me, to be
Oh
honest, into some of the work that I currently do now. But I went to Dubai with you.
yeah.
But see, that trip was not now my first trip. Like that's why I tell you guys that you can't there are some things that will happen in your life that you just know that this one
Mhm.
is good. There's no
Yeah.
planning it. There was no way I'd have planned it that by the end of this year I'll go for a conference and the person at the conference will tell me that she'll give me an all expense. Like it doesn't how, right? It
Doesn't
was
add
just
up.
divine timing. It was just the right answer in the right place and just being with the right people at the right time. And all those kind of things can only come by you walking with God on this journey to your personal growth and your personal development, right? By the end of that year, A friend that I'd randomly met somewhere else had told me that, see, any opportunity I get next year, I'll forward them to you, just because I feel like I've had a lot in my life. And it did. And it led me to a very high paying job in the United States that started to take me to every country in sub-Saharan Africa, even before I redeemed my gifts for the all expense paid ticket. So sometimes when I think about my life and my journey, I'm like, I don't know. I really cannot, to be fair, I can't accredit a lot of things to myself to say it was because I was smart or it was because I was brilliant. That's why I know that it was God. So that's the first thing. Please know God. Please find God and please let Him be the lead of your journey. But the second thing I'll then say is that despite all of this happening, now imagine that God says, okay, you go do your passport. And then I say, I'm not doing, or I'll do it later. And I get to that event and the woman says, I'm giving you an all expense paid ticket. Do you have a passport? And I say, no. Have I not lost that opportunity? So there are certain
Yeah.
things that you now have to start doing to bring into life the things that God is doing in your life. Let's just put it that way. As you are leading, you as you are developing personally and as you are developing professionally. And one of those things I would say is your obedience and is your yielding. And on this subject of purpose, it's very important that you learn how to obey God, that you learn how to obey God. There are some instances where God will forcefully do it in your life, whether you obey Him or not, like we saw with Jonah when he put him inside the fish and he said, you will still do it. But there are some other times that it won't happen like that. It's just an obedience that you have to do. So there's this analogy that I like to give where I say you can be standing on the roadside now, an accident is about to happen, and something tells you, or because God wants to save you, you just open your eyes and you find that something has taken you to the other side of the road. It was very
Yeah.
spectacular how it happened. You can't explain it. Nothing happened. Like you can't explain. You just found yourself at the other side of it. It can happen like that sometimes, but there are some other times where the accident is about to happen, and you start hearing into your heart, cross the road now, or leave that spot. Like you just something just nudges you, or a friend across just go, hey, and you just move, like you obey that nudge and the accident happens and you are saved. The person that was miraculously teleported to the other side and you that you heard something and you obeyed and you moved to the other side is the same outcome. You've both been saved from the accident. It's just that while that one was very spectacular, yours was due to you obeying the prompting that you got in your spirit at that time. So obedience is very key on this journey to personal development. Whatever God tells you to do, you just do it. Whatever you feel strongly there to do, you do. You feel like, oh, I need to create a webinar for people, do it. You feel like I need to go and do my passport, go and do it. You feel like I need to take this course, do it. You feel like I need to resign from my job, it doesn't make any sense, please do it. Like just obey, because you never know what's at the other side of your obedience to this thing. The third thing I would say is that whatever you then find yourself doing right now, whatever assignment it is you find yourself, even if it doesn't look like your big picture, do it excellently well. So in my life, every next step that I have ever grown to, it always came from, like, everybody would always say, oh, we gave you this because of how well you did this one. Right. So
Yeah.
when I became the regional manager for Sub-Saharan Africa at Peace First, which was an international company, and my work went from me serving my local community to then doing something very big on a regional stage and traveling everywhere in Africa to, help other young people do the same thing. It was
Mm.
because of the work I was already doing in my local community. They did say that it was because of this thing you're already doing in your local community. That's why we could entrust you with the work to do it on a regional ground. When I was working in a tech company, it wasn't first a tech company, it was just a random company. And for people that don't know, I studied English language, so I really did not have any business in tech or anything. So, but when the company was going to change and become a tech company, they let some people go because they felt like, you don't have the kind of skills that are required to move us into the next that we're moving to. But me, I was kept there because of how well I had done the ones I was doing, even when the company was seemingly small. And so for every stage they moved me to, every promotion I got, it was always a case of, because you did this one well, that's why we're moving you into the next thing. And classic example, look at Joseph. When he was still in prison and the other man had gone outside and had been released and he was in the palace. When they said, we need somebody to interpret this dream, It was, I know somebody from prison who had interpreted a dream I had and had done it well. And I think that person, you can bring him out. And that was how Joseph became prime minister, which was something he should have, like, it was something he was always going to be, right? But he came out of prison because of something he had done in prison, and he had done very well.
Mm.
So it's whatever you find yourself doing now. It may not look like you, it might be like, do you know me? Me that I'm supposed to be prime minister, me I'm supposed to be deputy secretary general of the United Nations. It's me that you're giving this small work to do. What do you mean? That's not the approach as young people that are obeying God, that are
Yeah.
trying to fulfill purpose. The approach would always be that whatever I have, I've received, and this thing, I'm going to do it excellently well. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing, I already said it, is to then look for things you need to start developing within yourselves, character flaws, things that are weaknesses that you feel like, oh, I need to work on this. I need to work on how to speak better. I need to work on how to write better. I need to work on my networking skills. I need to work on all of those things. Like, they won't just develop. It's still you that are going to do the work of trying to develop yourself and trying to change yourself. So it means asking the right questions, looking out for images of people that already, like Chioma said earlier, they're already walking the path and they're doing so well, and you feel like they can model where you're trying to get to. See the kind of communities they are in and join those communities. To be fair, I did it, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Like, if I see somebody that I really like and I see they've joined the community, I'll go and find out about that community. And if I think he aligns with my work, I'll apply to join the community too. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a big, like, there's nothing even spiritual or spooky about that one. Like, it's just do it. Like, oh, you're here. If it works for me too, I'm gonna join. So just do it. But the most important thing is you finding someone that already models this thing
Yeah.
and just seeing how they are doing it and just following them, and doing the things that they do, asking the right questions, joining the right communities. What else, working on your weaknesses. And in addition to everything that I've spoken to, I think that those are, at least it will help you move right
Yeah.
towards the kind of personal or professional development that you're going for. So I've been talking too much. I'll just stop there. I don't want to stop.
No, no, I can listen. I can literally listen to this like all day. All right, thank you so much. So we are in the fast think fast session. So
Okay.
I'll ask you a question, and the first thing that comes to mind, right?
Oh my
Just
gosh.
in 3 seconds, just reply.
Anyway, okay.
Okay. The first question is favorite place to be in the world, or anywhere though.
Like my husband's arms at this very moment. To be honest, that one doesn't even need 3 seconds. Yes, as in, please.
Wow, Pepe the singles.
No, I don't mean to do that. I'm very sorry, but you people should know that I'm feeling your pain at this moment because I've been away from my husband for too long. So I understand how you feel. Exactly. We're in this together. So if you ask me where you want me to be at the moment, I'll tell you that. No. I'm so I
All right.
apologize to singles. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no, no. Please don't be, don't be. The next question is, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of fun?
Right now, it would be two things. First would be just being in my room in the middle of the night watching Netflix. I really like it.
Mm.
And then I watch movies a lot. Like, if you mention a movie now, I probably have seen it. Like, I do watch movies a lot. And then the
Oh
second thing
wow.
now is just
Any genre, any kind of movie, yeah?
all genre,
Or
even
yeah.
horror. I'm sorry, all genre.
Oh.
I'm very see, you may not know, like when people hear the kind of things I watch, when my husband comes to my Netflix, it's always like he goes out, he's like, I don't know this this Netflix is not it's not mine, it's not love and light. But I do watch all genres. So it depends on how I'm
Yeah.
feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
so fun, like what I consider fun now, just leave me alone in the quiet of the night and let me be watching a movie. I like it. And then also organizing or having sleepovers with friends, and just being, it might be my house, it might be somebody else's house, but just being, in that place where we can talk and just through the night and then sleep and all that. I really enjoy it. So that'll be right now, that'll be it.
Nice hobbies. Thank you, Seun. I really love this conversation. I love the stories. I love the laughter. Thank you so much. And it's a wrap, guys. So, Seun, please can you tell us where can the audience follow you? Are you working on any projects specifically that we could, join on or see? If you don't mind sharing with us a few moments.
Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I really hope that
Thank
everybody that
you.
listens to it able to pick things that could help as well. If you wanted to find me, I'm very active on Instagram. My username on there is Seun Olagunju. Just as spelled on the screen where my name is, Seun Olagunjore. If you look for Seun Lana as well, you find me. You could also connect with me on LinkedIn, and yeah, those two places. I think I'm very, very active there. However, I run a school. It's called the Development School Africa. On Instagram, it's
Yeah.
called TDS Africa. And right
Mhm.
now, it is like my current assignment is around that school because I'm working to build a generation of change makers who are able to solve development challenges in their communities in Africa and in the world at large. So we teach young people how to demystify global frameworks like the Sustainable Development Goals and convert the ideas they have into real life action, into projects that they can
Yeah.
implement in their communities. So if you're that kind of person who has an idea, who's interested in social change, social innovation, you can follow Development School Africa. It's a proper school, so we will be calling for enrollments. And if you do feel like it's something you want to learn from, please do just join. And Chama, if I do need at some point if I need help with or we need you to come and facilitate a session or something,
I'm
something.
game.
Okay, I'm gonna be calling you to do that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you.
that's it. But yeah, those are the places you could connect with me on.
Thank you so much. And I saw was it last year you did the book launch
Oh yeah.
where Tony Onyekoya came to speak. It was,
Yes,
although
yes,
I didn't attend, I'm sure that that went well. And
yes.
I trust that the school is going to be what God has ordained it to be. And
Amen.
thank you so much for joining in. Thank you. So, guys, it's a wrap. So, just put in the comments what you've learned so far. There were many light bulb moments to me. I had good laugh. I hope you guys also have good laugh. But aside the laughs, I hope we have like things that we can take up from this conversation and expand the conversation further with your friends, with your colleagues. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So many more episodes will be coming on. So until next time, guys,
Yeah.
stay on purpose. And thank you again, Shion.
Thank you
I
so
really,
much
really
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. So
Bye.
and yeah, bye. Thank you